Hello everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology, and this will be your weekly reading. We're going to be going from, hold on, I have to look at my notes, February 11th to the 18th. I'm switching it up a little bit so that we have the weekends all together, Saturday and Sunday all together, so I'm going to start with Monday, and then Saturday, Sunday will be at the end, of course, but this week, because it's the only way to make it right for last week, I'm going to go from Sunday to the next Sunday. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, follow along with me in the charts. It's a crazy week. Oh, not a crazy week. It's just a lot of energy. We have Mars moving into Aquarius. It's going to join up conjunct with Pluto. We have Venus sextiling Neptune for Valentine's Day. That'll be actually really nice. And then we have Venus moving into Aquarius on Friday, and that brings the total of 5 planets in Aquarius. Oh, wow. So, and then, of course, I'd take you through the moon, how the moon's traveling through the signs this week, and it's going to go, of course, through Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and then because I'm going that extra day to Sunday, it's going to go all the way through to Cancer. So we're gonna start with a water sign and end with a water sign for this reading. Okay, let me swap out cameras here. Bring over my table. Hold on. Okay, so for the first Sunday for this week, because we're going to do 2 Sundays, right? So we have the sun at 22 degrees starting out. It's still in this trine to the south node. So remember, of course, that the sun, whatever points or planets it touches, it brings some energy to that point. And of course, with the south node in Libra being all about relationships and equality and fairness, at the south node, our point of the past, we are seeing quite a bit of legal happenings this week. And of course, today, the 8th, the day I'm doing this reading, we have before SCOTUS the oral arguments regarding whether or not Trump can be thrown off Colorado's state ballot. And we might not know, SCOTUS's ruling on this until June. They may be deliberating behind the scenes for quite some time. So far, I watched maybe an hour of it this morning, and so far it looks like we can count on Elena Kagan, Kataji Brown Jackson, Sonia Sotomayor, and it's looking like maybe Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch, and that's based on the questions that they were asking. So it might turn out to be a 5-4. I mean, for sure, it looks like Alito and Clarence Thomas are siding. Kavanaugh, Mr. Cheesy, is siding with them, for Trump. And Roberts, I'm not sure of yet. So, it could turn out to be a 5-4, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And we know that earlier this week, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Trump does not have immunity from criminal prosecution regarding his election interference on January 6, 2021. So we can expect Trump to appeal it, of course, and send it up to SCOTUS, and I think he can do that as early as Monday, or he hasn't. I think it might be that he has until Monday. So that would be February 12th. So we'll see about that. I get the feeling with all my readings that they're just going to kick it right back down. SCOTUS will kick it back down and not even take it on because it's just too ridiculous. It's too ridiculous. There's no way. Or they'll take it on and say, no, he does not. He does not have immunity. It's just crazy. So those are the legal happenings that are all, the sun is shining a light and illuminating all of these legal issues of the past. That's what's setting up this week. It has been going on, too, because you can see we've got 16 degrees here, 22 degrees here. So this is happening now, and by the time Sunday rolls around and you may be watching this, I will be past that point, but there is still the trine. The trine is still in there. There's still that quick, trines bring in a quick flow and usually an easy flow of energy. They definitely bring in connections. So it's all connected to the past. Mercury at 10 degrees moving towards, now the approaching energy is really strong, moving towards a connection to the past as well. We're talking about it, we're thinking about it, it's in the news, it's in the public, right? And then with the moon here in Pisces connecting with an inconjunct to the south node, we've got 15 degrees here, 16 degrees here, to even today. There's adjustments needing to be made in order to allow for justice, to allow for fairness. The quincunxes are, they're challenging and really challenging energies because they're conflicting and they pull energy from one point to the other. Sometimes, and the balance is really hard. So with the moon in Pisces, it's like, okay, are we going to be victimized by the status quo, the Supreme Court? Are we going to have fairness and justice or not? Our Constitution says no one's above the law, but what is really going to happen here? It does bring in some reorganizing energy to these 2 points. So the public opinion is ruled by the moon, and we are seeing the big picture, and we're going to be learning. I mean, I've learned so much. You guys, raise your hands if you've learned a lot over this last 4 or 5 years, and I'm continuing to learn. But one of the things that I have learned immensely is that SCOTUS is not to be trusted. There's at least 4 of them on the bench who are not to be trusted. I don't know about Gorsuch yet, I've done karmic readings on all of them if you ever want to look for that in my playlist. So anyway, with the moon here in Pisces at that 15 degrees, so we're at that second decan of the sign. With Pisces, again, it's either victimization or it can also have to do with seeing the big picture. It can have to do with sometimes feeling kind of, philosophical about things. So I'm wondering about that. I'm thinking that there's going to be an awful lot of deliberation with with SCOTUS. Pisces is good for. It's good for healing, okay? It's good for energy flowing. It's mutable energy, and so there's that, and at that 15 degrees, we're talking integration. So we're integrating the big picture. We're seeing more, and with all of these planets in Aquarius, well, with Mercury and Pluto and the Sun, and soon to be Mars, and this is after the new moon, right? Which really actually, if you listen to this today, when I get it uploaded, the new moon is actually tomorrow, the 9th. So, the new moon in Aquarius can be very revolutionary. It can break through a lot. It can bring through something original. But if the framers, if SCOTUS is sticking to the framers of the Constitution, as they usually do, they're considered like an originalist. Most of them on the bench are. We could see that trying to escape what justice needs to be made now, because they're going back to the old, stodgy old way. There's that possibility. But the deal is that by the end of the week, the Sun is going to be conjunct Saturn. And so things are going to get really serious and heat up, and we're going to have, something serious come through. Some serious revelations when the Sun hits Saturn. But for now, for starting off this week, this, this inconjunct quincunx here, to me is, again, back to it's reorganizing things because we need to fix something from the past. And we need to fix mistakes that were made in the past. And so the really big picture with Pisces here, and especially with Neptune ruling Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, the big, big picture, and notice, of course, we have the sextile up to Venus. Venus wants unity. In Capricorn, it's about structure and, just the structure of government and the way it works. And then with the sextile over to Neptune and this whole combination, and all this energy heading back, look at all these points heading back to the South Node. I mean, you got to love astrology because it's talking, right? And here we are with not only Chiron's opposition to the South Node, the inconjunct quincunx to the South Node from the Moon, and we're all watching, right? And then these two sextiles going back to the South Node as well, or sextiles, what am I saying? The two trines going back to the South Node. All of this points to mistakes that have never been cleared up from so long ago, that if we don't get things clear and fixed and if our judicial system does not work correctly going forward, we are going to really be having major challenges when Pluto conjuncts the South Node of the USA's chart in 2027. So it's imperative. I just think it's so imperative to have Biden do a second term, and for him to, and for, not only that, for us to take back the House so that we can make all those changes that need to be made. These protections need to be put in place to protect humanity. Our Constitution has way too many holes in it. We need more amendments to shore up the voting systems. And, they're sitting there waiting to pass through the Senate. And, it's all there, just waiting to be done. So this week is looking to me to be something huge. Something that big breakthroughs is what I'm expecting. And I say that because of all the build up to the Aquarian energy. Although by Sunday we're going to have the sun move into Pisces, so there's that. So this with the sun conjunct moving towards sun conjunct Saturn as well. So yeah, that's right. It's not the moon. The moon's already crossed over. The moon will be in Cancer, and the sun will be caught up to Saturn. So, okay. Let's just go forward with knowing that with the stellium of planets, so already there's 3. Pretty soon Mars will be in there. And with that stellium of planets in Aquarius, we can expect just a tremendous amount of electric, kind of intuitive, inventive energy coming through, where we're thinking about the future because Mercury's there. We're thinking with Pluto, we've also been thinking deeply about the future and our futures. What do we want to create in our lives? What do we want to experience? And, Aquarius is all about freedom. It's future oriented. It is, a place where we can be thinking in a bigger way, out of the box, getting our minds out of the box. Unless you're very eccentric and just it's good for just putting energy out there too. I mean, there's that. It's just so good for being progressive. And it's very, very good for science and technology and astrology. And with Uranus down here in Taurus, with the trine still happening to Venus, there's even more, I think, there. Just be careful about some of the channels that you watch, though. And I mean, to me, it's a little heartbreaking that there are some of these channels that have hundreds of thousands, if not more, subscribers. And they usually have that many subscribers because they're doing readings that just say, if you're a Cancer, or if you're a Taurus, or if you're a whatever sign you are, this will be your week. Well, they don't know your chart, and they're going off of just a square or a trine or an aspect, with the outer planetary transits, which you can get. There could be some accuracy, but not to deserve those many views. And so they're preying upon gullible people. So if you don't know your own chart, you don't know the degree of your sun, and you don't know the transits that are going on, and you're not trying to learn astrology, but you just want to take what somebody else is trying to overlay onto you to get views, then you're being lied to. So you want to be careful. You want to be very, very careful. And more as Pluto moves through Aquarius through this next 20 years, we are going to see a transformation of astrology. And, and hopefully those people will wake up and see that you shouldn't be doing that to people, right? Like, for instance, they could be saying that, all Leos are going to be having the biggest breakthroughs and everything's going to be great and da-da-da-da-da, when meanwhile they're not talking about the degree. Pluto moves very slowly, right? So they could be talking about something 20 years from now. The person's still waiting for all of these breakthroughs. We have to make our own breakthroughs. We have to know that we create our own reality. And once you figure that out, then you're not going to, you're not going to listen to somebody that tells you what to do and how to think and blah, 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 right? Because you do your own. You are your own person. We do not need gurus. We do not want gurus. We do not want someone to be, reading energy is one thing, but telling someone what to do based on astrology, when they are not doing your own chart, they haven't done your natal chart, and they're not looking at your own personal transits. That can be really dangerous. So, the planetary overview with the outer planets for this week, again, it's everything that I just said about Aquarius, and with Mercury and Pluto still together, we're thinking along those terms, although Mercury is moving further away, so it's not as an intense of a week with the mind, okay? Our minds, we may get better sleep. I got really good sleep this last week. I hope you guys did too, but for some, Aquarian energy can be very electrifying, and especially if you're a Taurus and you've had Uranus, going over, and if you have any Taurian planets, this Uranus and Taurus is, it can be a little too much, right? It's just can be very electric. Now, with Mars getting ready to move towards Pluto, that's going to be energizing as well, but it's going to be more in the terms of not so much your mind, but just your instinctual actions. So I'll talk to that one, or I'll speak more about that when we get there. But the reason I'm talking about this now is to say Sunday can possibly be a really good night for some deep sleep and some amazing dreams, because the moon is moving towards the conjunction with Neptune. So setting your intentions for dreamtime guidance can be very fruitful this Sunday night, and possibly meditation as well, of course, I would say. And then with Venus and the trine down to Uranus, this can be really good for work, projects, relationships. And so we want to still keep on taking advantage of that, like we were looking at the end of last week. We do have the Sun still squaring Uranus, so that does bring in a little bit of, it can be a tension field, and you've probably been feeling that already, but this tension field of needing to make some decisions about how to be more free, and I would think it's more about finances and thinking of saving money, and well, we're all moving towards tax season, right? So some people might be getting, getting nice refunds, and then others are dreading, like, uh-oh, how much am I going to have to pay this time? Yeah, so we'll just have to, hold that lightly in our consciousness that it is tax season. Being self-employed, for me, I resent having to take days off to get and where I can't work and can't earn money, but I have to take days off and lose money in order to, be accountable. So that's a little thing I'm working with inside of me. Trying to let that go, but every tax season it comes up again, right? So, okay, let's focus here on this exact opposition that we have going on with Chiron to the South Node. So Chiron, of course, I've been saying for so long, and it's conjunct the North Node. I've been speaking to the fact that Chiron is our wounded healer within, but I don't go with the, I never have aligned with the belief that it's the wound that you can never heal. I don't think that that's, because in our souls we can always heal just about anything. And the wounds, the traumas, the challenges are, they stem from false beliefs. Oh, yeah, right. False beliefs. That's it. Well, maybe it's something we can just bleep out of our consciousness at some point. But anyway, false beliefs that haven't yet to be healed, and over a series of lifetimes, which is why we're born with Chiron in a certain sign. So with Chiron conjunct the North Node, there are so many souls attracted, more and more and more attracted to getting on their life path and healing the false belief that they don't matter, or that they can't trust themselves to know which direction to go, and that there's always going to be abandonment and false beliefs around I have to be first, or I'm going to be left out, things like that, or the fear, most of all, of asserting your unique, individual essence. So because we've had the squares happening, and we still have the square to Eris, Venus squaring Eris, again in Aries. So with this stellium of Aries here, the North Node is still going to be moving backwards, because the nodes go backwards in time and space. So essentially, over time, Chiron is going to move closer to Eris, because Eris is just going to sit there. It takes 558 years to get around the zodiac, moves, twice as slow as Pluto. And so again, with Eris, remember, she's our feminine equality. She's our powerhouse of, she can be our sister to Mars and Pluto, and she's the feminine struggle for equality. And then here we are with Chiron being the struggle for healing our deepest wounding, so that we are, and all the work that we do with our deeper wounding, they're just, these conflicts, the false beliefs, not beliefs, but beliefs that have been holding us back for our entire lives. Well, by the time we're 51, we have our Chiron return and we can release that energy. Usually it comes through like, oh, now I really know what my deepest wounding is. And then we work for a few years to clear that out. But if we don't do the work, it just sits there and festers, and we project it out into the world, and whatever we project outward is what we get back. So it's essential that we do our inner healing and excavate that buried treasure within, because when we do that, then it turns into our gifts. So I am going to postulate here, I'm going to predict a little, that those of you who have done tremendous deep inner work are going to feel more and more grounded as you walk forward on your path. This has a signature to me, or the signature of people getting on their path, blazing their own trails. And some relationships will come with them and others will fall off, because we've got a choice point here. We've got, that with an opposition, oppositions are challenges. They help us become aware of something. They bring in the opportunity to cooperate, Aries and Libra cooperating together. So it's like me and us, right? Instead of me versus them, okay? It helps us to resolve conflicts. And then we have, the big breakthroughs. And the opposition is like it's like a seesaw that goes back and forth, up and down, right? You're over here working at one end, and then you're over here working at another end, but you're going back and forth, kind of up and down sometimes. And it helps you to balance out like two parts within. So if you've had a false belief that you don't matter, or that you're always going to be left out, and everyone always abandons me, that kind of thing, then you're at a choice point to heal your karma from the past in relationships, where you can say, no, I matter to myself. I'm not abandoning myself. So I don't need to be so impulsive and needy and grabbing a hold on relationships and demanding. So if you've had a demand on other relationships, or they've been making demands on you, that can be balanced out, and you'll know which way is the right way to go for you. So that is really, I think, a wonderful thing to focus in on, and especially because with Venus is at 23 degrees Capricorn, Eris is at 24 degrees Aries. We've got that, dynamic square going on with cardinal energy that wants to, move forward. With Venus and Capricorn at that last decan of the sign, we are wanting to be in relationships where we know we are solidly connected and they are trustworthy, or we're at least working together to go in the same direction. So that's, there's a choice point there, because again, with the squares can bring in some actions that need to be taken, decisions that need to be made. They can be turning points in our life. So, and they do help us to resolve resistance, because there can be resistance at both ends. Like, I want to be free and independent, and I want equality, but I still need relationship. We are all interdependent upon each other. So there's no getting away from that. And you wouldn't be happy anyway. You just think you would in the moment. So that's on one side of it. On another side of it, the squares also help us to work within a goal so that we can accomplish something. And I especially am bringing that up because of Venus in Capricorn really wants to get it done, wants it to be done right, wants it to be solid, so that there's something that, that is very stable in our lives. And then other times, the squares are there just to help us work through the tension field, and, we're feeling it. And then from there, we're making the decisions. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? Mars is in, we've got, we do have these semi-squares. So I'm seeing that need for action coming up today, I mean, today looks like a good day for planning. It really does. And also the dreams that maybe came up to help you, because when the moon crosses over Saturn, it's very possible that you get guidance about karma, and it's a wonderful thing. You can always drop it into dream time and meditation. The most powerful question I ever asked was back in 2000. Yeah, I remember where I was, and I remember the year, and yeah. I went to bed one night saying, I really want to know what my karma was for this lifetime. What was my intention to heal? Like what's this really about? And I had this dream that was just so profound. It was one of those kind of dreams that I didn't even need to write down, but of course I did. I took copious notes. I woke up in the middle of the night and took copious notes, and yeah, it made so much, it brought so much clarity into my life. I can't say that it really helped me to break the pattern, but just to know it and know what I was working within, it did help, I mean, I still had to do the work. I still had to break the pattern, but knowing what the pattern was helpful. And the people involved. I get to see the karma that I had with certain people, and the good, bad, and the whole 9 yards, right? So I want to put that out there for anyone that wants to do that. I think that you'll get it eventually. You'll get all the, and you know what? When you set those kind of intentions, I think you'll keep getting information, because that also happened for me. If it can happen for me, it can happen for anyone. So, okay, now let's see. Taking care of that square, I've handled all of those aspects back to that south node. This is really a week for understanding karma and for trying to resolve karma, both politically and personally. We've addressed the trine to Uranus. We have Jupiter, let's see, 8 degrees. Yeah, Mercury is squaring Jupiter here. Now, this would be happening, like, if you're watching the video early, we'd be building up to it, and by Sunday we may have a release of the energy. But with Mercury still squaring Jupiter here, from Taurus to Aquarius. So Taurus wants safety and security and stability and mine. I want to know what's mine. This is mine. This is yours. And we can blend, we can merge, but there's a tension field there. And I think it's really about who's telling the truth with Mercury and Aquarius, because Mercury is the mind and the way we communicate. Mercury it can bring in, with Taurus and Aquarius here, it could bring in the tension field around writing projects, and maybe it's time to start getting things published. Maybe it's time, maybe the square here is this tension field about studies that you want to get involved with, things that you want to learn. And then for other people, this could be the tension field around, making a speech, like if you do public speaking, this would be a good week for it. Well, a trine would be a good week for it too. But with Mercury trining the south node, this looks to me more like something that you've done all that work in the past, whatever it is. You've done the work already in the past, and now it's the tension field to literally give birth to it. In a new way, maybe, or for the first time. There's that real possibility there. Yeah, because the Jupiter connection, the square to Mercury, that, and especially in Taurus, can really bring through taking care of contracts, loans, anything to do with finances, any money matters at all. And it could also be like starting to look for, because thinking outside the box with Mercury and Aquarius, right? It could be about thinking about new businesses to start up, because Jupiter wants to expand, it wants to grow, and it wants to bring in things that bring in more happiness and more bliss, especially in Jupiter and Taurus. Let's see. Okay, what else? Anything else going on here? We still have, yeah, Venus trine, or I'm sorry, sextile, Venus sextile. See the little blue line there coming from Venus to Neptune? So there's a connection and an opportunity to have a spiritual experience that is very physical. With Venus in Capricorn, we're talking physicality. And it might have to do with something that comes from meditation, but it might also have to do with some big open, where there's an experience where you've dissolved the boundaries in your mind of knowing that everything I do here on Earth, in the physical realm, is linking to my spiritual essence also being brought further down into my body here in the spiritual realm, like that connection between the physical and the spiritual, and you realize there really is no separation. It's all in the mind. The separation is in the mind. So that's interesting. And then with Pisces being the ruler of the feet, and Capricorn ruling the bones, and Venus ruling Taurus, which is all about the body, and Venus ruling Libra, which is all about relationships, and that bridge, whatever bridge you want to put yourself on, that all sounds to me like walking the spiritual path and knowing that there's no difference between you and it's just an illusion. And to get like through that veil of illusion is to know that you are human, you're utterly human, but you're also a huge spiritual being. And can you bring in more of your being as you're moving through life is always the question. So there's that, and then Saturn has this little semi-square going on here to Eris, from, if you can see Saturn here, and then that little red line with the little kind of thing. Yeah, it doesn't really look like a semi-square, but that's how they created it. To Eris. Okay, so Saturn to Eris, again, stabilizing our spiritual foundation is what Saturn, and that's the opportunity of this 2.5 years of Saturn in Pisces. Or it's actually more, I think, this time because of the retrograde. But it's direct. Remember, all planets are direct until April 1st, April Fool's Day. And with the semi-square, it requires action. Semi-squares are aspects that require action. They are sometimes fraught with indecision, though, and there's some friction, but what it means is that for some people it can bring through opportunities to do some training while you're working as you go kind of a thing, because you're opening up to something new and then you're wanting to move forward in a much more courageous, a braver way. So that may be something for someone out there that needed to hear that. Let's see, and then the other semi-squares are coming from Saturn. Yeah, there's quite a little bit here going on with Saturn to Mars and to Pluto. Yeah, so again, it's really just, it's everything that I said. Is can you move forward? Are you motivated with Mars and Capricorn at that nth degree? I mean, we're almost at that anaretic degree. With Mars and Capricorn, it's about wanting to move forward in ways that bring in more solid, stable reality for you. You don't mind working hard. You know that you're responsible for creating your own life, so why not work hard at it? If there's any trouble with it, it might be like not feeling respected, like other people are just kind of overlooking what you're working on. Or maybe if you're surrounded by narcissistic people and you're realizing that, oh, I have to take some actions to get out of that. Because the deal with Saturn and Pisces is the need for healthy boundaries. For empaths, it's imperative. You know, if you've got two narcissists working together, they're just going to bump up against each other. They're going to just be going at it all the time and just kind of see who wins, and you've got that, you know, all that going on. But if you're an empath working for a narcissist, they are going to just be invading you constantly and trying to get you to, you know, take on their work, do their thing, or they're going to be bombarding you with their energy so that your life force is just sucked away, because what's what's needed is to either get the hell out of Dodge or fight them. And I think that probably fighting them is a waste of time, because they are not, narcissists don't do self-work. They don't. You know, if when they do, then, or when they begin to, usually they'll do it just enough to know the language to manipulate you back, right? So it's a big suck fest, right? It's a big vampiric experience. So I don't recommend it. I recommend just going in the other direction, you know. And you don't want to let them know that you're on to them, and you don't want to make them, it's just, I could talk more and more about that, but there's so much information about that, and that is the perfect example of Pluto going through the sign of Capricorn since 2008, and there's been this uprising of YouTube channels geared towards helping people understand what narcissism's all about. So that's there. So I don't need to talk about it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So here we have Monday, February 12th, and the difference here is that the moon is now in Aries early in the morning. So this is probably one of those mornings where you get up and go. We do have the square to Ceres that has newly moved into Capricorn. And so there's that tension field of wanting to get things done. And you're nurturing more of all of the physical projects in your life with Ceres in Capricorn. But with the moon in Aries, there's an instinctual it's probably one of those mornings where you don't even think to meditate first. And then you realize you're up and doing things, and I forgot to meditate. So you might want to be careful with that. But then on another level, because of the moon crossing over Neptune, like I was saying that's going to happen, you might wake up with some dream guidance and have that impulse to write it down. And I hope that takes in for you, or kicks in for you. I hope you can remember to do that. And you don't have to write down, let's say you're on a deadline with a schedule and you woke up late. You don't have to write down the whole thing. You just write down little bits and pieces or little snippets of a dream, and you can do a lot of work with that later on. Okay, so then, now another thing that could happen is with the moon crossing over from last night into this morning, through crossing over Neptune, you could have been very involved in some movies or shows, and you could have been doing some binge watching, and then you had dreams about that, and then you wake up going, oh, next time I'm not going to watch things late at night. Right? It's really good to meditate before you go to bed. That's such a good thing to do. It's like clear out the cobwebs before you go to sleep. So anyway, okay, so Neptune here is still, we have the sextile from Mars. We have Venus moving forward and making, notice how we've got 24 degrees here and 26 degrees here. So we actually have, and then with Pluto, there's still the sextile going on. I think. Hold on. Let me check out the grid real quick. I'm over to Neptune. Yeah, well, it's Venus that's really tight. Yeah, but the other ones are coming in, so I don't know why it's not showing up there, because we clearly have, see the blue lines here? And Venus is right. Okay, so Venus, Mars. Mars is waning, though. Yeah, so it's not Pluto. It's just Mars and Venus sextile Neptune. Okay, but the Mars is waning to the point that well, it's still 3 degrees. I guess we should address it. So opportunities, sextiles always bring in opportunities. And with Venus, it's an opportunity to unify something within your consciousness. Venus is our planet for, attraction. So whatever we're attracted to, it can have everything to do with art and music or any form of entertainment, but also in Capricorn, making money and working hard. And with this sextile to Neptune, I mean, this is really good for the entertainment industry, that's for sure. But it's also really good because I look at Venus as personal love and Neptune as spiritual love. So again, what I was saying before about knowing that you're a spiritual being. You're having who is it that says that? I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Well, I'd like to take it a step further and say that you can be more conscious of moving through life in your spirit if you're working, in that direction, which is probably what he meant when he said that. I can't remember who said it. It might have been Dan. What's his name? The guy that had a near-death experience years and years and years ago and then wrote a book on it. I can't remember his name. If you remember, drop it in the comments. Was Dan somebody? I can see his face, but I can't remember his last name. So anyway, we have with the sun 23 degrees here, sextiling Eris. Again, that courage to break free. The sun, of course, the sun and Mercury are still making that connection to the south node. So it's breaking free from injustice and relationships who didn't treat you fairly. And then we have this bridge that we're building towards something that's a lot more solid and courageous. It's all about feminine equality here going on. You can see that. And then the sun is squaring Uranus still. So again, breaking free. Yeah. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Now, with the moon in the square to Ceres, to go back to that before I move forward for the day, it's really, I mean, I don't see this as it being too hard, because with the moon in Aries, it's forward movement, instinctual forward movement, as long as you can be present, as long as you're not making a demand on somebody over here to give you what you think you don't have, right? There's that possibility, because Capricorn energy is already having that duty and that self-responsibility to put the time in and do the hard work, okay? Now, with the square to the moon could be feeling like if there's any problem with the moon in Aries, it could be like feeling like, I don't know which way to go, so I'm just going to follow this guy. But this guy might be headed in a selfish direction, so you're going to have to figure out which way you want to go, okay? That's all I have to say about that. Monday night, Mars moves into Aquarius at 10:00, I think that's a 6. Is that a 6? Yeah, 10:06 p.m. So now we have 4 planets in, for the rest of the week, we have 4 planets in Aquarius. Okay? Wow. Mars conjunct Pluto, wowzers. So when we combine Mars with any planet, it gets us going. It's good for working on things. No, so Mars rules all forms of metal. Metal rules the military. It rules, people with like a sun conjunct Mars. A lot of, I mean, if you study astrology enough, you've looked at some, musicians. They were pretty good with electric guitars. Okay. So Mars rules all metals, all tools. It's good for construction. It's good for putting, your business forward. It's good for any type of machinery. It's good for surgery. This is really good for laser surgery. If anybody has to go through that or wants to, there's some elective type of surgery you're doing. So there could be some discoveries because with Mercury still there and the sun at that last decan, there could be some new discoveries of anything like that, some new technology, or some things that were out there might become more mainstream. I don't really know what I'm talking about here, except for knowing what the keywords are. But I don't know what things are out there as far as lasers. I just know that lasers are a real thing, but I don't really know exactly what it might bring through. I just know that it's excuse me, connected to anything with having to do with science and healing the body, because of course we still have Uranus squaring the sun, and Mercury's headed that way. So again, there's could be advances in technology for healing the body, right? Breakthroughs. Uranus will, excuse me, let me grab some water. Uranus can bring through major breakthroughs there. So laser surgery is what I'm thinking, and breakthroughs in astrology, maybe in astrology programs and the way they work, they're already pretty darn good. But maybe there's new, with Mercury, there can be some new understanding as to how these programs work for some astrologers, or maybe there's some brilliant astrologer that creates a new program with all of this energy in Aquarius, all these planetary bodies in Aquarius. I can expect over the next 20 years for astrology to take off in some new ways so that everyone can experience healing their souls that way. There are apps. I know there's a couple apps. Oh, what's that one called? Lila. Stephen Forrest invented Lila. And then there's another one, starts with a C, and I can't remember the name of it. Where you can put in your birth data. I have found, I do have that one, Lila, and I did find a mistake on it already and reported that because it was a bug. But anyway, it's great, actually. You can put in your birth data, and if you wanted to look at your transits every day, you could do that. And then I guess I just got the free version, but I guess you can upgrade and get like future, more things like that. It's not going to ever replace having an astrologer do your chart, though, because you're looking at it from a cookbook type of a menu, and you're not seeing you can't see the patterns in the natal chart like an astrologer can, where you're finding signatures and you're looking at past lives and you're looking at the deeper wounding, and and then I have a questionnaire that I have people fill out so I know what their focus is and what they want me to look at. So there's nothing that's ever going to replace that, in a personal reading, but it's still, it's pretty good. It's good to help you, I guess, learn a little bit too. So those things I'm expecting to see more of over the next 20 years with Pluto and Aquarius. And especially with Neptune and Pisces going through the last stages. It's still going to be, Neptune doesn't move into Aries until 2026, January 2026, but Neptune and Pisces is all about this opening, to spirituality. and looking more towards spirituality rather than religion for the connection. Neptune is source energy. You know, religion we could say would be more towards looking at Saturn and maybe even Jupiter. And in Pisces, that's kind of dissolving because, you know, yeah. Yeah, and now we can see the moon today has caught up. Besides the Mars moving into Aquarius, so Mars moves energy, first of all. I should talk about that a little more. Mars moves energy. Hooked up with Pluto, it's going to be powerful energy. It's going to bring through people's ability to think outside the box. There's going to be more intelligence, increases of intelligence, more invention, more intuition, more opinions. You know, people are going to be pretty opinionated, but then it can be objective, and the challenge is always we're going to need to balance out all of this Aquarian energy. I know I talked about this last week, but I just have to say it again. We have to balance all this out with our hearts. We have to embrace the opposite, you know, Leo energy, the good side of Leo, not the my way or the highway or the narcissistic, you know, look at me, always needing attention. Not that kind of energy, but the open-hearted, loving, generous, loving to see people being who they truly are, and witnessing that. It can be beautiful to have all this Aquarian energy, but you have to balance that with the love of Leo, the Leo love energy. And otherwise, we just have a lot of rebellion. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have some rebellion going on with Mars conjunct Pluto. This is not good at all for the wars that are going on in Israel, and but the breakthroughs are coming through. Now, this could be an uprising against Netanyahu. There's that possibility, because we're talking humanity when we're in the realm of Aquarius. And Mars is moving energy for the people, and Pluto is there holding space for the people to come into their own, and there's a lot of talk about it. And we know that Netanyahu's been taking money that's been taking money for himself and not allowing the people to have the things that they need, because he doesn't care anything about them. It's all about him. That's what dictators do, of course. So with the moon in Aries hitting up Chiron and connecting with the south node, we're going to have, the moon oppose the south node, of course, and hooked up to the north node before too long. This is this buildup of this energy of the public seeing the past, some truths coming out, shining the light of what's really happened. And we're all being taught, like, what really happened here. And it can be kind of shocking for some people, with the sun squaring Uranus. But the moon rules the public, and the moon at that, moving from the 0 to the 10 degrees, we've already crossed into, or 0 to 9 degrees, we've already gone through the first decan where something's developing. Well, what's developing is we're seeing people who are being very wounded just for the fact that they have existed, or they're trying to exist. In Aries, it's like an existential threat. Genocide is an existential threat for many people, right? And we're all seeing that. So I expect something with the war. Maybe more things heating up with Iran, Iraq, Yemen. Let's just send out tons and tons. Let's dive into the Libra energy that can send out lots of healing vibes for peace. Just if we can stay in our peaceful place as much as possible, then we're holding the space of peace on the planet. each one of us. And that's very powerful because everything comes from within. Yeah, let's see. I think that's about it because we don't really have any other aspects to the moon. All the other aspects I've already covered. So let's go ahead and go to Tuesday. Things won't have changed a whole lot because we just went from late Monday night. But now we do have the moon hooked up there. And, yeah, 15. But we have Mercury in this nice sextile with the moon. So Mercury in Aquarius at that second decan is integrating something from the past, and there's probably the public eye, and for you guys personally, this could be moving forward in a new way because now you have the opportunity because there's some networking going on possibly with the sextile, of course, because the sextile does bring through opportunities. But now it might be about committing because it brings opportunities always bring up the possibility of commitment. So you know, decisions decisions today. And the moon's going to continue to cross over throughout the day, the North Node, and hook up with Eris. So the courage, there's going to be more emotional courage coming through. Yeah, I wonder what's going to be happening with the news there, too. With Jupiter, or I'm sorry, with Ceres up here, remember just to review, Ceres is our protectiveness and our loyalty to humanity, as well as animals and food and farming, all of those things. And it's also it's related to what we nurture in our natal charts. It's our maternal, our imprint from how our mother and close caretakers, how well they did taking care of us. It also rules the feminine reproductive system. And because we have a trine coming down to Jupiter, this is actually, I'm looking forward to the more it moves forward with this trine to Jupiter, that hopefully there's healing around women's reproductive rights. With Mercury and that trine getting closer, tighter and tighter to the trine to the South Node, we do, of course, have women's reproductive rights on the table still. That is, trust me, I'm positive that is the primary. It's that and gun control that is going to be what the election's all about. No matter what they're talking about, what Trump's doing, and what Biden's promising, and the sad thing is that Biden has done so much already, but we can't see it yet because the laws haven't taken effect yet, but they're already there. The infrastructure, and so many things that have been put in place, but they just haven't taken effect yet, but they have been passed. And then there's a lot that's held up that won't get through because of the House just holding people hostage, holding everything hostage because they want Trump to be in there again. But then they're fighting, and there's all that. So, immigration control is right here. Immigration is ruled by Pisces. So, working on that is definitely on the table, of course. I don't need, you guys don't need me to tell you what's going on in the news. But yeah, Venus, we have an exact sextile now to Neptune, so everything I was talking about is really heightened today when it comes to having your spiritual foundation. Maybe there's some breakthrough. Then again, with the sextile, we need to make a commitment, but maybe now we have, and we are firmly on our path, and we feel very connected to our guides and guardian angels, or at least your spiritual practice has been working well enough that you know that, yeah, I'm so glad I committed myself to the meditation or whatever it was, and things are bearing fruit is what I'm seeing here. 26 degrees to that, 26 degrees. I'm almost to the minute right there at 6 a.m. Tuesday morning, February 13th. Now, on another level, I can't always say that sextiles and trines, like the blue lines, I can't always say that it's good energy. I can say that they make connections, and there's that possibility. The trines bring in a quick flow. The sextiles bring in opportunities, but the commitment has to be made. But if it's not in using good energy, this could be challenging for immigration, of course. This could possibly be very challenging for people who just have made the commitment to align with their cult leader. And, we can see where that's going in the future. So Uranus in the sesquisquare to Ceres brings in a little stubborn energy. So I don't know how that will play out for each one of you. Sometimes stubbornness is good to hold on to, because if you know the right way to go and you're just waiting for the breakthrough, you want to hold firm. So I think I can move forward. Let's go to Wednesday. Wednesday, Valentine's Day. First thing in the morning, so the moon has moved over all of that Aries energy, and we have the moon at 29 degrees of Aries, that anaretic degree, so things are intense. There's a very real possibility of being very present in relationship with someone, but with the square to Venus, it could be a little disappointing, right? There's a tension field. Now, on one level, it could be really wanting to bring in a nice gift or go to the right place, or let's just stay home and do our own thing. There's kind of a little bit of a, choice point that needs to be made there early in the morning. But maybe there's a wishing I would have dealt with this earlier in the week and not put it off. Because we have not only Venus, but also, and Venus is going to be in Aquarius pretty soon. We'll see that too. We have how many planets here? We have Venus, Pluto, and Mars, all squaring the moon. Okay, and then we have Mercury squaring Uranus, because look at that, it's approaching there. There could be some shocking words about, like, you didn't get me that I wanted, and you knew I wanted it, but because they didn't shop early enough, they couldn't get it, or something like that. That could just be some silly Valentine's Day stuff. If you're single and Valentine's Day is just like something you say to, like, Happy Valentine's, and it doesn't really mean much, like me, like I could care less. If you're like me, this could be one of those days where there's a lot of energy moving towards being more free, being more rational, being more inventive, more intuitive as well. And then also on the news, there could be something shocking that comes out, because Mercury is a messenger. Mercury can bring through some news. Maybe there's a ruling from SCOTUS by now, or maybe they're at least letting us know that we're going to be waiting. When it comes to that DC Circuit Court of Appeals, they should be kicking that back down right away. And we know Trump had until Monday to appeal it to SCOTUS, sending it from DC Circuit Court to SCOTUS should have happened on Monday, but if SCOTUS is smart, they would kick it right back down right away because it's just too ridiculous. So that could be what this is about here. Because Jupiter rules the law. We've got that trine up here to Ceres. You know, what is SCOTUS going to nurture? Are they trustworthy? Right? That kind of thing. Well, some of them are. But, yeah. A couple of them need to be impeached. A couple, 3 or more. Yeah. So anyway, let's see. What else? For Valentine's Day and Valentine's evening, it's good if it was planned ahead and you're really in love, or if you're really in love, who needs to go out? But if you want to go out, if you didn't make plans ahead of time, it's not going to be a good one. I don't think so. Reservations, all that kind of thing. With these squares that I'm seeing from Venus to the moon and all these other planets, no, it could be chaotic. So, okay, but the best we can do with this day, which is what I'm always, trying to look at, is how do we best use the energy? The moon, pretty soon, let's see, let's go ahead 1 hour, 2, there we are. By 8 a.m., the moon's in Taurus, okay, and it's conjuncting, it's moving towards, so every couple hours it moves, I think, a degree or so. Let's see how long it takes to get to Jupiter. Well, 4 degrees apart is pretty good. Yeah, by the afternoon, so here we go, here's Valentine's night. The moon conjunct Jupiter could actually be pretty cool. Jupiter moved ahead 1 degree. Notice how it went from 8 to 9 by 8 p.m. Now, this could be good, all right? So it's not good in the morning. Maybe it's the tension of getting work done, but by evening, it does look like a good Valentine's Day because we have the moon in Taurus and Jupiter, conjunct Jupiter in Taurus. So there could be healing. Maybe there was a fight earlier in the day. Maybe there's just so much energy during the day. Maybe the news put out so much that it was distracting from the love state, the bliss state of Taurus. But now by the evening, it's all good. And we have the moon trining series. So that brings through that nurturing. So all throughout the afternoon, it looked like from about 4 o'clock on, it looked pretty good. So, yeah. But that late degree of Aries can be just like, that could be, yeah, trailblazing, all right, but to what? To moving forward to what, right? And then we're learning lessons of you don't want to abandon your loved one if it's Valentine's Day. You don't want to skate over things, and you don't want to also be demanding. Now, that's the other side of it. Prove to me that you love me, right? Like, no. All right, let's go ahead and go to Thursday. The 15th, we have the moon on the other side of Jupiter. Hopefully there was some healing that happened. If it's not about Valentine's Day or a love relationship, it's definitely about the body. It's about money. It's about security. Taurus is everything to do with having and holding and bringing in more opportunity, and most of all, healing what matters most to you. And the moon brought through that, those questions, like what really matters to me is what Taurus is all about. What is my value system is what Taurus is all about. And that's what Venus is all about, for that matter, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra. And so Venus here, almost at that anaretic degree, Venus in Aquarius, almost into Aquarius, but now at those last degree and a half using up of Capricorn. Again, Venus helps to, attract things, and it's all about, in Capricorn especially, can be about, lots of money is possible. It does connect, Venus connects beauty, and it connects connection, literally. It connects things that can be a little indulgent. When it's with a supportive aspect, which we don't have because we've got a square to Eris going on, there is no supportive aspects going on with Venus right now. And it's getting ready to kind of break things up in Aquarius. But the square to Eris is more about, can you be brave enough to just be on your own and not care about what other people think, not care about having things that make you think that you're good enough, is what I just heard. Something to do with the having and the haves and the, we've got all the having down here, haves and have-nots kind of thing. Like, who cares? As long as you're happy. Like, do you really need an expensive car? Like, who cares what other people think is the deal. I mean, I figure, like, as long as you're taking good care of yourself and you're healthy and you're clean with your money, like, that's a big thing. And Venus in Capricorn at that last degree might bring through that value system. Like myself, I don't, and I may without knowing, but I don't want to spend my money. I don't want to give my money to any organizations that have supported Trump. And so I've worked really hard over the last 4 or 5 years. Well, actually, it started for me once I knew he was running, but then once he won, it's like, oh, because lists started coming out, like Citibank was one that really supported him. So I canceled my Citibank card, and I canceled, what was that other one, Capital One, because they supported. I was never with AT&T, but they supported. HBO, because I'm pretty sure AT&T, but I forget who owns HBO now, but at one point they merged, I think. Anyway, there are lists and there are places like Home Depot. You can go to Lowe's instead of Home Depot. Home Depot is a huge company that donated tremendous to the Republican Party and still does. So there's all these things that you can, like the My Pillow dude. Would you buy pillows from that dude or anything from that dude? Nah, it's like that, right? So integrity with how you spend your money is what Venus in Capricorn is all about. And I probably should have talked about that a month ago when it was moving through Capricorn, but it's here now. I'm saying it. We have a semi-square coming from Mercury to Ceres here. So we're thinking outside the box. Mercury in moving towards that. Well, almost. Nah, it's not in the third decan yet, but it's almost at the end of the second decan. So we're integrating some new thought to nurture our financial stability here. Maybe Ceres in, because Venus will teach us about our value system, but Ceres in Capricorn can really be about nurturing our financial integrity. Let's go with that, okay? Get me off the hook for not saying it with Venus there last month. Okay, so Ceres is still trying Jupiter and will be for quite some time. So there's that opportunity to heal our relationship with money and heal how we spend. Knowing that how we spend our money is also how we're putting our power out into the world. And we want our power to be clean. We want our life force inside of us to be clean and aligned with the laws of love and truth, because it's one and the same thing, rather than, just having your money in the stock market and meanwhile it's going towards, hooked up with people who are supporting wars. My goodness. That would be at the worst case scenario. And then we can see today we have the moon, because an inconjunct is a really tight orb, it's 0 to 3 degrees, but the moon, no matter how early we got up in the morning, the moon now has this inconjunct to the south node. So this quincunx inconjunct aspect, again, I'll say that it needs adjustment. It creates the need for adjustment, because what we've been feeling over here is not in alignment with what we want to heal from the past over here. So this could bring through a relationship issue with the moon in Taurus, because the moon in Taurus most of all wants to know that you're in relationships that are trustworthy. Taurus or Scorpio cannot stand to be in relationships where the person isn't trustworthy, right? And that's a good thing. So with the moon moving closer and closer every hour to Uranus, there's going to be some greater awarenesses. The adjustments are happening already first thing in the morning, or the need to make an adjustment to help us move on from the past again and fix any relationship mistakes, or the way we relate to others, and the way we relate to ourselves is really important here too. Because, mirrors of relationship, they always just mirror back our relationship with ourselves, right? So if we don't really love ourselves, we're going to have people who don't really love us in our lives, and those are just going to be like transactional relationships, and they're very surface-oriented, and it's very painful at some point. So a lot of people are getting out of relationships like that, because this is a very uncomfortable feeling going on here between Taurus and Libra with that aspect there. So let's see what else with the moon we have. Yeah, it's just Mercury, and Mercury's moved forward enough to where Mercury's squaring Uranus. Well, now we've got a connection between divine mind, but it's a tension field. Okay, with Uranus over here, it's we're waking up. What do we really want? How are we going to get it? Am I in the right relationships? Am I in relationship with myself in a way that my feelings are congruent with my mind and my thoughts? And if not, because this can be resistance here. This can be the resistance to feel. Mercury in Aquarius wants to go quick. It wants to be free. It wants equality and fairness. But sometimes it just wants to be right and be the one who knows it all. And so there can be intellectual pride. So if you're talking to somebody and they're talking over you, or they have to have the last word, or they're arguing with you, being contrary for no reason, and then here you are over here, with the moon in Taurus, feeling very sensitive in your body and thinking, I don't know if I'm even safe with this person, so I don't want to talk to them anymore. And with the square here, I would say, probably it's a waste of time to go further. So you might have something like that in the morning. And then as time moves on throughout the day, let's see how long it takes to get the moon on the other side. By 6 p.m. and even later, yeah. What we have going on is the moon has your emotional body, your empathic, your body has told you something about who you were, either something that came out in the news, but it's also the possibility with Mars in that square as well, that literally your body taught you, like, this person is just either full of shit or they don't care about even what I think. They just want somebody to listen to them. You might not want to hold space for them anymore, right? It might be something like that. On another level, it could be that you had some major awareness that you're good with the public and you're good with taking care of your home, because the moon is like home and hearth, and also conversations with other women. Yeah, and everything to do with, Taurus has to do with things that create more safety. So there could be some invention here for women, or a woman invents something or takes advantage of something, or there could be an invention that comes out to the public that had been worked on behind the scenes for a long time. Now it's made public, by this evening, by Thursday evening. February, 16th, right? Yeah. So, that'll be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. Or maybe a ruling will come out. So Friday, now we do have Venus in Aquarius. So let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bam! Planets in Aquarius. Wow. My goodness. And it brings through three trines to the moon this morning. It's 8:06 a.m. that Venus moves into Aquarius. So this is going to be nice for all Aquarians as Venus goes through. Venus crossing over if you have just one planet in Aquarius, it'll be very nice for you. But if you have, a lot of personal planets in Aquarius, this is going to be even nicer. Unless, you'd have to be, I was going to say the only way it could be challenging is if you had Pluto in Aquarius, but you'd have to just be being born. But if you are being born, if you're having a baby, you're going to have a baby with this whole stellium. If you have a baby today, this baby's going to have 5 planets in Aquarius. It's like, wow. Venus conjunct Pluto brings in intense love relationships. And so keywords for Pluto are intensity, power, transformation, bringing things up from the bottom that need to be brought to light. It can be very humbling. If you, like, let's say you're an Aquarius sun and you have Pluto on your sun right now. Like, let's say you have, your sun is at 0 degrees Aquarius, and Pluto's on your sun. Now, Pluto moves really, really slow. So, if you have your sun, like, over here, it's going to take 20 years. So don't worry about it. But at least not now. But if you have your sun at 0 degrees Aquarius, Pluto crossing over your sun, you're not going to be the same person after that transit. It's going to help open you up in new ways that are pretty darn amazing. But it intensifies things. So what it's intensifying now is instinctual movement that wants to move forward, and love relationships that are unique and different. This stellium here is really, really good for LGBTQ relationships, and in anything in that realm where you're free from what humanity thinks. It's not going to be good for people, for those that want to hold back and make people conform to something, to bigots. It's not going to be good for bigots. It's not going to be good for people in their intellectual pride, thinking that they're better than that. But then again, too, with this whole stellium in Aquarius, is just, it should be more sociable. It should be more powerful for humanity. Like I was saying, love relationships, thinking outside the box with Mercury there. And of course, the Sun and Mercury will move on and into Pisces soon. But let's enjoy this time that we have all of this planetary alignment here to help us think about the future and to be more connected to our brothers and sisters. Like I said, I think last week, Aquarius is all about, and Uranus is all about the law of brotherhood and sisterhood. The connection to humanity. So things can, can create, or we're in it depends on how you use the energy. We can be detached and not care and just want to be locked in our heads and be very opinionated and yeah, you think you're objective, but again, it needs to be connected to the heart. We need to care for each other. And then if we can come through that way, we can have experiences of reinventing ourselves and our own unique genius can come through. We can have a better social life where things are more humanitarian and progressive. Now, revolutionary things can come through, especially with all these trines down to the moon, especially today. There can be this love for humanity and wanting to move forward in ways that are creating more freedom for all of us. And the moon in Taurus can be, very, 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 at that 28 degrees, can be very beautiful for feeling that in your body. And then, like I was saying before, any type of laser surgeries, anything that helps heal the body, it's really good today. Like if you go for a massage, that would be in the body. Any type of Reiki or hands-on healing, touch therapy, in the body, acupuncture even. Just any type of, or doctor's appointment, all those things should go really well. Let's see. I think that's about it. Notice how Chiron is really tight with the North Node there. It's really moving quickly, or not, catching up, I should say. Neptune, oh, yeah, we can't miss that. With the moon sextiling Neptune, again, really, really good for having a beautiful, blissed out spiritual day. This is an excellent day if you can take the day off and just have a lot of fun. And we also have the aspect of the architect here going, connecting. So we've got this like bucket kind of situation going on between, it's Mercury and the Sun connected to Eris. No, wait. It's Mercury mostly, in the exact, to Chiron and the North Node, and then connected over here to the South Node. So that's really good. So I think this is a really good day for communication of all types. Maybe it's going to be a big news dump day. Something dumping on dump. Yeah, okay, let's look at Saturday, February 17th. Now the moon's in Gemini, and we have a grand Earth trine, or not, what am I saying, Earth trine, a grand air trine. So Gemini is all about, with the moon in Gemini, we're going to be feeling the need to communicate. We're going to be feeling like we want to connect the dots, we want to learn new things. We're connecting with ourselves and others because we've got the trine to the South Node. We're talking about the past. There's something about the past we're working through. And then with the other trine over here to Mercury, that intensifies it because Mercury is still connected to the South Node. But then we have Mars here trining the moon, and every degree that the moon moves forward, the moon's also going to connect to Mercury as that goes forward. So it's not quite a grand Earth trine, but it's coming into formation here because Mars and Mercury are so close. So it's like lightning quick thinking, moving energy in ways that create more freedom. And then we have the square from the moon to Saturn. So it's serious because people are thinking in ways that could be very compassionate and caring, and they want. So these things are, everything that's going on with the wars that are, I mean, it's such a hard place to be in. To me, it's so sad that we're still not evolved enough to a place on Earth where we don't need military, some form of like military might or protection. It's so sad that there are still wars, and that this is just the way it is. That's the problem. And that is part of the human condition, is that we are these spiritual beings who are unitive, and we are everything like the Neptune and Pisces energy, where we just want peace, we just want bliss, we want everyone to be safe, we don't want war, we don't want anyone going through genocide. But then again, here we are on Earth, and that is exactly what we are witnessing, and some people are experiencing, and to me, it's so sad. But if I don't go into my acceptance of what I'm living in, I won't be healing my soul, right? If I have a forcing current on the politicians in power to be a certain way because I know what's right, but I'm like 500 years ahead of time from where they are, but I'm living here, then I'm completely missing the point. As a spiritual being, as a human and a spiritual being, we have to hold sides for both. And it's within that acceptance of duality that we actually do transcend duality, if you can catch my drift. And this all happens with the mind and all of this Aquarian energy, where we have to rise above, but not have a forcing current for people who are trying to protect us to do something different. You know what I mean? I think you catch my drift. I hope I'm being clear here. Like, I don't believe in war, but it is happening. And here's a perfect example. Pretend you're needing to protect your children, but you just have said, no violence whatsoever. Meanwhile, somebody's breaking into your house, and they're going to do some terrible things, okay? Do you stand up for yourself in self-defense and protect your children? Or do you go, oh, no, it's all love and light, it's all bliss, I can't, you know what I mean? And maybe your life task was to protect your children. There you go. I hope that I made it clear. Okay, let's go to Sunday. The sun is in Pisces today. It doesn't happen until 8:14 p.m., and you can see that the moon has moved all the way through Gemini, and we've learned a lot, and now it's in Cancer, and we have an exact trine as soon as the sun moves into Pisces tonight at 8:14 p.m. What happens is that the moon is in Cancer at 0 degrees. So we've got this water trine going on here and an air trine going on here. So there's some very good objective thinking and some deep feeling happening later tonight. With Pisces season, it's our opportunity, and especially for this first week, because the sun is moving 1 degree every day closer and closer to Saturn. So this whole next week, even though I haven't done that reading yet, I can surely say that we are making progress in the realm. With Pisces, we're talking our spirituality, we're talking art and music and what we devote ourselves to. It has everything to do with our psychic abilities and our empathic abilities. And all of the beautiful things that Pisces relates to. Pisces is mutable energy, which means that it assimilates and it flows, and very, very beautiful with compassion and imagination. It's very mystical. But the downside of Pisces is victimhood, blaming other people, not taking self-responsibility for creating your own life, instead blaming something outside of yourself for what you're experiencing, and being literally just chaotic and all over the place. And those are usually people who are in vicious cycles of addiction and cult members, things like that. Now, the painful side of Pisces is when you're not being considered and you're being scapegoated and blamed, gaslighted. Those are all Piscean situations, and I'm only speaking about that so much as because the sun is moving towards Saturn, so there's going to be some lessons there. We might have to hold some compassionate space for someone in our life who's trying to break free from the past of relationships that they've been stubbornly clinging to just because they don't have anything else. And that's another way to transcend duality, is to let go of the thing that you have that is you think is connecting you to something that you think you need, and moving in the opposite direction because you've learned that, to stay where you are would be abusive. And also, when you stay in abusive relationships, you're also abusing their soul because you haven't taught them yet that they don't get to do that to another person. Okay? If you stay in it and you take the beatings, you're abusing their soul because you're not teaching them that they're not allowed to do that. Those types of people belong behind bars. You need to sit in, prison or jail. And they need temporary restraining orders. They need boundaries. And Pisces need to teach people boundaries. That can be the life task of every Piscean person out there. Okay, so that's all I have to say there. Other really beautiful things with Piscean energy is that, like I was saying before, the ability to create art and to fulfill your own spiritual path, to really be on your path and keep walking that path. Pisces rules the feet. Some ways it can be challenging is if you're a little too gullible. It can be challenging if you're thinking that you need to just respond to what everybody's, coming at you with. And then, like I said, being maybe a little indiscriminate with people that you connect with, that can be challenging. Now, the moon in Cancer with these two inconjuncts to Pluto and Venus, we have... I don't see this as being as challenging as it should be or could be with other signs. And that is because with Cancer, it's psychic. It's sensitive. It helps support yourself to heal anything inside of you that is, those places where you feel insecure. It can be challenging here for somebody who's into a lot of patriotic bullshit. Okay? If you're in a relationship and you all of a sudden realize they think the USA is the best, or they think they're, you know what I mean? It's like, no. No. The answer there is no. So that can happen sometimes with an unevolved Cancer. So with the moon in Cancer, there could be something with coming out in the public today that reveals adjustments that people need to make with who they follow, who they love, who they hook up with because they think they're powerful, right? Yeah, there's that. Because remember, Venus and Pluto together are intense, but Venus is, moving away. Mars is still there. Venus and Mars are hooking up really tight. And there's moving forward with the masculine and the feminine. Maybe there's the understanding for a lot of people that there really is no, in the spiritual realm, there is no separation between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's all one energy. So that's important to remember. We all have a divine masculine and a divine feminine. So there's, all these people that just want to jump on men and make them bad. That's not cool. That's just not cool. A divine masculine to me is the conscious energy that says, I'm going to go, I'm going to go in a certain direction. I'm going to do. To me, the divine feminine is the receptive energy that nurtures the divine masculine, right? So if somebody's talking, they might be in their divine masculine. If they're connected to their divine feminine, it's even better. When another person is listening, they can be in their divine feminine if they're really taking you in and they're really listening to you. That's a wonderful experience. What's not a good experience is if there's two people coming from their divine masculine, putting energy out there at the same time, and that reception that could be more full isn't really happening. So I hope that's an example that you can kind of glom onto when I'm saying, I just don't like people bashing men, okay? And make like all this, yeah. I mean, yeah, they've been in trouble. They've gotten themselves in trouble over the millennia, right? Over the eons. That's for darn sure. And it hasn't worked out well. The matriarchal societies definitely did work better. But women need to stand up and fight. Of course, when we did that before we died. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying sometimes, other than holding space for both sides of the equation is always a good idea. And I think that's precisely what these two inconjuncts here from, Venus and Pluto is all about, right? Let's be sensitive with the moon in Cancer. Let's be sensitive to what's really trying to come through. And how do we use the energy in the best way? So, yeah. Now, this is Sunday night, but let's go back, because I know I went forward quite a few hours. Let's go back. Oops. Come on. Let's go back to let's say like 7 a.m. The moon was still in Gemini. So during the day of Sunday, it's not, the sun hasn't ingressed Pisces, so just kind of don't look at that. Just look at this. There we go. That'll help. And don't look at this. Do I have anything to cover that up? Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Don't look over here, because that's not correct. But we just want to zone in on the moon, and the moon was at in the last decan of Gemini. So we're learning something, we're mastering something that we learned. Things are coming together. We've integrated some major communications. I'm thinking that maybe we might have some legal breakthroughs that come through by Friday, and then maybe over the weekend we're talking a lot about it, because with the moon sojourning through the sign of Gemini, we're learning, we're connecting the dots, we're seeing things. There's a lot to talk about. And yeah, and then to go back, sorry about that, every hour that I go back, yeah, like 12 a.m. that morning. Again, don't look at because it's not really the sun in Pisces there. It's still, the sun is at that anaretic degree of Aquarius, right? And from there, we've got that connection from Mercury over to the south node. and Mercury to Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, but the ruler of Mercury, and then that connection to the South Node there. That's quite a dynamic. It's a lot of quick moving energy where we can talk about the past, connect the dots in the past. Hopefully, we have justice coming through, justice prevailing, and then we're all talking about it all weekend. So, yeah, it looks good for that. I hope that's what it is. But creating justice and fairness and equality in your own life, you can do that, right? We can do that, and then we can hold space for it on the planet. Yeah, and then you can also see that starting early in the morning, we've got the sextile coming from the North Node to the Moon. So the Moon is looking forward, and we've got the aspect of the architect going on here. In fact, do we have... we kind of have a kite formation going on. It's nice to have the trine to the Moon, from Mercury to the Moon is incredible. And then to have the sextile to the North Node and Chiron and connecting to the South Node brings in the aspect of the architect and this building up of energy that can form something of great structure in the future. And it's all pointing towards fairness and equality in brand new ways. You know, Eris is the one that's going to win, that feminine struggle for equality. That's what we're really fighting for. But we're needing to fight the justice system for that at this point. And, yeah, I mean, there's just, I could go on and on, but I need to stop at some point. I mean, we're pushing 2 hours here. But this one was going to be longer because it's 2 Sundays. So next week I'll go from Monday to Sunday. And we'll have the weekend all together. That'll probably be better. Okay. I'm done. Thanks, you guys, for listening. Take good care. Bye.